What is up, everybody? Thank y'all for tuning in. We just finished up the NFL draft. We've got some rookie drafts that are going on currently. Some of you have had some already, some of you have some coming up. So, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down my top 10 rookie wide receivers. But before we get into this video, guys, just do me a quick favor there. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let's get right into it. My wide receiver one of this draft, JSN, of course. We know what he did in college. We don't have to go through all of that. Let's just take a look at the landing spot here where, Seattle Seahawks, right? You have Lockett and you have Metcalf there. Two guys that have been top 15 wide receivers together. You've got a 31-year-old Lockett who's aging. It might not be on the team after next year for cap purposes. You've got DK Metcalf across from you. It's the perfect combination. I expect JSN to be a top 15 wide receiver once he hits his peak. Now, it might not be this year. You have to kind of be patient with it. You can't expect it to happen this year when you do have Lockett and you do have Metcalf. So we have to be a little bit patient as far as this year. But we may see going into the season, that second half part of the season, where JSN may start to take away some targets from Tyler Lockett. Now, there is, of course, the question of what about Geno Smith? Is Geno going to be there, for a longer period of time, right? Was it just a flash in the pan last year? Does he digress this year? And we can also look at his reception perception profile, which he was elite in. I mean, 86th percentile against men, 97th percentile against press. This guy has all the makings of an elite wide receiver. So we can be confident in JSN. We can feel safe. We just have to realize that it might not happen this first year. He's that perfect slot wide receiver that can play outside as well. He's an incredible route runner, quick guy, good after the catch. Doesn't have the top end speed, but doesn't need to. But the overall talent in JSN, he's the pure cut wide receiver one of the class, going to be your 105, 106 in your rookie draft. And one QB, he'll be your 102, 103, depending if you want to go Jameer Gibbs. My wide receiver two is going to be Quentin Johnston, 6'3", 208. Goes to the perfect landing spot in the Chargers. Now, I did expect the Chargers to kind of go Addison or Zay Flowers. I felt like they were better kind of route runners and that fit that offense better. But they wound up going Quentin Johnson. So he gets the perfect spot. He gets the franchise QB that he gets tied to, the elite QB, which is very important, especially in Dynasty. You've got a guy who already had the highest upside in the class, does have the lowest floor, but he did have the highest upside. And now he gets to go on a squad where he can kind of learn and progress as a player and get better to where you do have Keenan Allen, you do have Mike Williams. He's not pressed to produce right away. He's not going right into, double coverage right off the bat. So Quentin Johnson, I love the spot here. He gets an absolute chance to grow with Justin Herbert. So I am going to take the upside in Quentin Johnston. Just taking a look at his reception perception profile quickly. Man-to-man coverage, he was very well. 85th percentile, 75% success rate. Can get better in zone and against press. That is one thing that was a little bit worrisome about Quentin Johnston was, number one, the hands catching, just catching too much with his body. Another thing was the contested catches. For such a big guy, he wasn't great at contested catches, and then also against press coverage. Again, for such a big athlete, he wasn't good at getting off of the line. So these are all things that he can work on, and I think it's the perfect spot where he can learn behind a Keenan Allen, behind a Mike Williams, and grow with Justin Herbert. So I wouldn't have liked Quentin Johnson as much if he went to like the Texans, where he's automatically kind of like the number one guy there, and the defense is kind of focused on him. So I really like that he wound up going to the Chargers, like I said, so he can grow there with Justin Herbert. My wide receiver three of the class is going to be Zay Flowers. Goes to the Baltimore Ravens. I felt like he was the number two wide receiver for me at talent wise. The route running that he has, very, very sharp route running, great after the catch as well. Can line up all over the field. Actually led all of the rookies in this class against press coverage. Just bringing up his reception perception profile real quickly. 74th percentile against men, 79th against press. Actually love the landing spot. The Baltimore Ravens, it seems like it's not the greatest landing spot because they haven't been able to produce a wide receiver one. They don't throw the ball enough. They've got Lamar Jackson, but now you've got a new offensive coordinator coming in there. They're going to throw the ball more. You have OBJ there now. You still have Bateman. You've got your running back. But I think they throw the ball more here, and I think Zay Flowers has a chance to really grow with Lamar Jackson over the next few years. You've got OBJ only on the 1 year contract. Bateman, they're probably not bringing back after his contract is up. So there's a scenario where Zay Flowers is the only guy left after a year or two. And you still got Mark Andrews, of course, but Zay Flowers can carve himself out a legit role in this offense with Lamar Jackson. So I love the landing spot for Zay Flowers and let him fall. People are off of it. I will gladly scoop him up the 110, 111, 112 if he's falling that far because people are scared of the landing spot. I think he can absolutely be like Lamar's best friend because, like I said, this guy can line up all over the field in the slot, along the outside. I'm excited for Zay Flowers again. It might not happen this year. There is a chance that he can produce just this year. I mean, OBJ is an older guy. Can he stay healthy? We'll see what happens with Zay Flowers, but love Zay Flowers, my wide receiver 3 of the class. And these top 3 guys, I feel like they can all be wide receiver 1s in the NFL and for fantasy football. Jordan Addison, my wide receiver 4 of the class, great route runner, amazing player, can line up inside, can line up outside, had tremendous college production as well. Finds himself on my Minnesota Vikings. Love the landing spot. Now, the one thing about Addison that even before the draft, that was my thing about him, was that he was more of a like wide receiver 2. He needs that guy across from him like a Justin Jefferson. He reminds me of Devonta Smith, where he needs kind of that AJ Brown, and he lands in the perfect spot where he's got JJ right across from him. He's got Hawkinson there as well. He goes into an offense where Adam Thielen was a top 15 wide receiver, even with Justin Jefferson there in that rookie season. And then in that next season, Adam Thielen got hurt, but on his way to another top 15 season. Now, they didn't have Hawkinson back then, so you got to take that into consideration. So you've got some more targets that can be taken away, especially down in that red zone, which is one of the places where Thielen thrived was in that red zone. So I think Addison has the best opportunity to produce right off the bat in this first season. I think he has the best rookie season of all these guys, but I think he is going to be capped with JJ there, of course, and Hawkinson. And like I said before, I think those other 3 guys can possibly be wide receiver 1s, where I think Jordan Addison is kind of that wide receiver 2. Now, he is the safest of all of these players. If you want to go with the absolute safest player, Jordan Addison is probably going to be your safest player other than JSN. Wide receiver 5 in this class is going to be Jonathan Mingo. Gets the draft capital, a top 40 pick, going to the Carolina Panthers to learn and grow with Bryce Young there in Carolina. Pretty much is the only option there. I mean, you've got Thielen, you've got Shark, you've got some older guys over there, so he gets a chance to learn a little bit from some of those guys. But Mingo is a tremendous athlete. Didn't really break out until that last year there, so that was the one kind of little warning sign about Mingo, was that he didn't really produce in college until that last season. But tremendous athlete, has the body of like an AJ Brown type. Not saying that he's AJ Brown, but he will be best used as a slot receiver in the NFL, a very physical guy. And you have to respect the draft capital with Mingo here with that top 40 pick. So he's got to be my wide receiver 5 here. You can take him pretty much in that early second round of your super flex drafts. If you want to take him at the 112, I can't be mad at you. There's a couple of different guys in that tier there that you can take in that back end of the first round. So excited for Mingo. I just hope that they use him the correct way so he can really develop and become the guy that you want him to become. Josh Downs, my wide receiver 6 of the class. Love Josh Downs even coming in. One of the best wide receivers in this class, one of the best route runners and separators in this class. Goes to the Indianapolis Colts, does not get the draft capital that we expected him to get. He moved down in drafts for whatever reason that it was, but finds himself in a spot where he's got a young rookie star QB in Anthony Richardson. Now, can he grow with Anthony Richardson and be that slot guy and be that reliable receiver that they need him to be? The perfect slot guy. So he jumps right in there. You've got Pittman and Pierce on the outside. You've got Josh Downs right there in the slot. I love the prospect. I'm just not sure how good I feel about the spot. Anthony Richardson, a guy that is probably not going to throw the ball that much as it is. And when he does, one of the downs about Anthony Richardson is that he's not accurate at all. So how is that going to affect Josh Downs, especially possibly being second in the pecking order to a Michael Pittman? What is that going to do for his production? I don't know how good that's going to be for him year one. Is he going to be just that reliable guy where you get it out quickly, get it to him over the middle, just be that slot guy? Or is it going to be a struggle in year one? But we're trusting in the overall talent of Josh Downs. We know the type of player that he is, the separator, the route runner that he is. So I'm confident in just the overall prospect of Josh Downs. And we're going to hope that the Indianapolis Colts do the right thing and be able to put him in the right position to succeed. Because his reception perception was extremely well. I mean, 87th percentile against men, 86th percentile against press. So Josh Downs has a ton of potential, which I love. But he's more of that slot wide receiver. I don't know if he'll ever be a wide receiver one, like fantasy wise, but he can easily be a wide receiver two, wide receiver three. So I like Josh Downs. I really want him to be successful. I'm really hoping that he does his thing. But Josh Downs, wide receiver six in this class for me. Wide receiver 7 in this class for me is gonna be Marvin Mims, goes to the Denver Broncos. I love the spot. They moved up in the draft to go and get Marvin Mims, so Sean Payton going to get his guy. I love the pick, a very smooth route runner, shines against man coverage. His man coverage, his win percentage against man coverage is right up there with Jordan Addison and Zay Flowers in this class. So a guy that can really separate. So love the Marvin Mims pick. Goes to the Denver Broncos in an offense where Cortland Sutton is probably not going to be there much longer if he doesn't get traded. You've got Jerry Judy. They did pick up the option there, but Marvin Mims could slide in there with Jerry Judy and be the two guys there. So I really like the Marvin Mims pick. If he can form the nice 1-2 punch with Mims and Judy on that offense, that Sean Payton offense with Javante and Russ, if Peyton can really get things going there, like Mims could really be something. So I love the Mims pick. I've got him here as my wide receiver 7. My wide receiver 8 of this class is going to be Jaden Reed, Green Bay Packers, gets second round draft capital, going to Green Bay with Christian Watson over there, trying to be Jordan Love's best friend. Probably going to be lining up in the slot, but can line up all over. This is a guy that is a very good route runner, very good against man coverage, and actually led this class in beating press coverage. The number one guy beating press coverage in this class is Jaden Reed. So I love Jaden Reed here, kind of going under the radar because he has been injured and banged up. But if he can stay healthy, be on the lookout for Jaden Reed. I love him and kind of that mid to back end of that second round of your rookie drafts. But my wide receiver 8 of the class, Jaden Reed. My wide receiver 9 of this rookie class is going to be Cedric Tillman, 6'3, 213. Winds up going to the Cleveland Browns. A guy who I thought was the best wide receiver on Tennessee, not Jalen Hyatt. Don't forget, Tillman got hurt, which opened the opportunity for Hyatt to do what he did in that last senior season. Because in 2021, you had Tillman go for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns, and then wound up getting hurt in that 2022 season. So he kind of got pushed down the draft boards a little bit. Ton of potential. Big guy can line up on the outside where you've got Amari Cooper who's getting older. You've got Peoples Jones who has 1 year left on his contract. You still have Elijah Moore there, but I like the 1-2 punch for the future of maybe a Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore. We'll see how that turns out, but I've got him right now as my wide receiver 9 of the class. Just love the landing spot. You get to be with Deshaun Watson, a franchise QB who has the contract. So you know you're tied to a elite QB in Deshaun Watson. So Cedric Tillman, I love the spot, not only for the talent, but also the situation. And my wide receiver 10 of the class is going to be Rashid Rice going to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's getting pushed up draft boards tremendously. I was never in love with the prospect of Rashid Rice. He had a great last season with 1,355 yards to go along with his 10 touchdowns, had 9 touchdowns the year before that as well. He does have some upside and some potential, but he was not a good route runner. He was not a good separator. I didn't like him much as a prospect, but he did get the draft capital, so we have to respect that. The Chiefs did move up to go and get him in this draft, so we have to respect that. Patrick Mahomes apparently worked out with Rashid Rice and told the Chiefs he wanted them to go get Rashid Rice. So, with all that taken into consideration, you have to be a little bit excited for Rashid Rice. But at the same time, what is really the ceiling for Rashid Rice, right? What are we really looking at in Rashid Rice? Are we looking at the next Juju, the next MVS? Like, what's the ceiling? Because to me, I feel like Juju is probably the ceiling for Rashid Rice. So that's why I don't want to reach up and take Rashid Rice. I'm fine taking him maybe end of second, early third round in your super flex rookie draft, but I can't find my way to take him any earlier than that. He also may get an opportunity early because Kadarius Toney can't stay on the field because of the injuries that they've had at wide receiver. You have Sky Moore, who I expect to take a step up this season, who the team has said that they're going to give more opportunity to. But if Kadarius Toney can't stay healthy, maybe Rashid Rice gets a great opportunity and he can start producing. But I'm just not in love with the prospect of Rashid Rice, but we can give it some hope because of where he lands, because of the quarterback situation that he's tied to. So that's why I have him here as my wide receiver 10. Also note Jalen Hyatt. He'd be my wide receiver 11, but also want to throw his name out there. Wasn't in love with the prospect there as well. Was not a good route runner. Can only really run that 9 route. Was kind of just wide open all of the time. But he did find himself going to a good spot in the New York Giants, where that's kind of what they need. He can be that deep threat for that team. I just think that his production is kind of going to be up and down. Does he catch the bomb or does he not catch the bomb? So that's really only my concern with Jalen Hyatt, but I'm absolutely fine taking a flyer on him end of second, early third round as well in your Superflex rookie draft. But that wraps it up for this video, guys. That is my top 10, 11-ish wide receivers of this rookie draft. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. What are your top 10 looking like? Do you agree or do you disagree with some of these points and wide receivers that I have here? Let me know down there in the comments. Just do me a quick favor. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. Appreciate you guys for tuning in.